Hey there, so if you have been curious about the job market here in Irvine, surrounding Orange County, then you are watching the right video. Today we are going to focus on some of the big names that are here for employers, and we're going to talk about just some of the job opportunities that are here. Hi, I'm Giselle and I am a local Irvine resident. I've lived here for the past 3 years or so, and I'm originally from the Bay Area. I've also lived in Fort Lauderdale and LA. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started here. Now, I want to preface this conversation by letting you know that, of course, 2020 brought in the notion of working virtually for the vast majority of us. Now, I myself have worked in a virtual environment for the past 10 years, going on 11 years. I was in the project management space, and so I did have an employer that was out of state as well as out of the country. I've worked with clients globally and things of that nature. So started off using Skype, evolved eventually to using Slack. So I'm certainly familiar with being able to work in an environment where you're not physically present. With that said, I also know that for some folks, especially now that you've tried it, and this is just the majority of you have at this point tried working virtually, you may have determined that it is well suited for you or it's not. I realize that working from home doesn't work for everyone. It does require a certain amount of self-discipline and motivation to be able to keep yourself going. I think it's easy to, get into, at least for me, if I just keep sweats on all day and I have a couch there, it's just easy for me to just binge on something and not focus. So I have to treat my work home as I'm getting up, working out, getting dressed as if I were going into an office, physically moving to my office in my home, and then moving out when I'm done and just really setting up boundaries. And then the same thing with turning off work, making sure that I'm removing myself and not continuing to work, because it can go both ways. You can be unproductive or you can be overproductive and then really unbalanced and everything else, right? So anyway, this is geared more towards the actual employers, the names that most of you will recognize or will have heard of that are located here in Irvine. If you stay tuned to the end, if you are a remote worker or you're looking to do something remotely, so you want to be able to move to this area, but your employer is somewhere else, then I will talk a little bit about the infrastructure and how Irvine is designed and set up to support that. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So first off, UCI, University of California, Irvine. So you may have heard the name, and if you haven't, then it's definitely one that you should look up. It is a big university, has really, really good ratings, and it has both bachelor's and graduate programs. So it is obviously a huge employer as well. So not only does it pull in students that come here to study and live here and reside here, it also draws in a big pool of employers. The university does offer housing for its employers, different, obviously to varying degrees depending on what you're being employed as. But when you think of UCI, it is not just the professor that is involved, or maybe technicians and lab assistants and all of the assistants or supportive roles that go along with the university itself, but think of the buildings and the structures as well, and all of the support that goes into that. So there are technology career opportunities, as well as project management opportunities, as well as administrative, and then of course all of the other things that are involved with educational. The second one here is, you may not think of this area as a tech space. So when you think of technology, most of us automatically, and maybe I do just because I'm from there, I think of Silicon Valley, so I just think of the Bay Area. And then in recent years, the expansion of technology into other places such as Austin or Texas, North Carolina is a big one. Florida even is a big one. So you think of these other areas that have bubbled up as big tech spaces. We have Silicon Valley up in the Bay Area. There's actually Silicon Beach that has developed in LA. So in Orange County, we also have some big names. So Google has a campus here, for example. We also are, Zillow is here as well. So whether you think of Zillow as a real estate or a tech firm, there is Zillow. And then there's also Redfin, another tech real estate company as well. And we have CoreLogic, Kajabi, which is, if you've ever taken courses online, Kajabi is one of the big ones there. And that's just to name a few of the big tech spaces or tech names that you may be familiar with. There are also several others that maybe aren't as well known, but you should, there are definitely plenty of opportunities for those that are looking to be in the tech space. We also have Hyundai here. So there is a Hyundai office. So obviously Hyundai is very well recognized, globally recognized in the car industry. So there is a large Hyundai office here as well. So multiple engineering jobs, again, project management, administrative assistant roles, and finance as well. Speaking of finance, there are large financial institutions. So PricewaterhouseCoopers has a big office here as well. So if that is something that is of interest, or if that is the area that you're involved in, then definitely you can consider moving out here as well. And with financial, I'll just kind of do the little branch of real estate as well, where you have the real estate and lending institution and everything that supports that. So there are, I believe, I want to say around 25,000 or so active real estate agents in Orange County. So that's a lot of real estate agents. And with that, you have the lenders that are not included in this number. You have title and escrow companies. So there is like Fidelity, Old Republic. Fidelity has a big office in Santa Ana that not only focuses on when you think of home warranties and those things, but also just a bunch of their other branches of businesses as well. They have tech that is housed there as well, technology department. So there's a lot of opportunity within the financial sector as well. We also have the Hoag Medical Center. So multiple clinics, multiple hospitals that are located within Irvine that are part of the Hoag Medical Center. So again, you can think of not just the doctors and the nurses and the technicians, but everything else that is involved in supporting that unit as well. So one of the big employers out here is that. We also have a really big Kaiser Medical Center. So Kaiser is located in Irvine, but then there are also multiple Kaisers throughout all of Orange County, but a really big one in Irvine. So it is a big employer as well. The other thing that I wanted to bring up as well is within all of that, of course, like any major city, you have civil engineering that is available. So Irvine is an area that is continuing to grow. So if you are in the real estate development space, if you civil engineering or any other type of engineering, those are also big draws from a career standpoint to our area. Irvine Company is another large organization that you'll hear of, and that is more of the apartment rental space. So if that is an area of interest, then that's a big name as well. And I did mention that I would bring up the whole remote setup and the infrastructure that is available there. So let me just again start off. I mentioned earlier that I personally worked in the remote space for over 10 years, or have worked in the remote space for over 10 years now. And so video conferencing, fix this here real quick, right? Video conferencing, being able to stream on multiple devices, being able to share a screen and do all of that without the freeze, to be able to do it consistently is something that I have been doing for the past 10 years. If you are a household where it's just yourself, or even households with multiple individuals that are doing this, then it's really important to have the proper bandwidth. And there are limitations in certain areas. So no matter how many devices you get into the home to help, and I'm trying to blank of the modems and the routers that, the specific names for building those out. But there's only a certain amount of things that you can do where you max out what is available in your home and your area. One of the things that Irvine is really strong in is that because most of the housing is on the newer side, the infrastructure for technology is there. So fiber optic cabling, having direct cable to the home as opposed to having it in a neighborhood and then sharing and going to the house is common here. If you live in an apartment complex or a newish condo community, more than likely the cabling system or the, I don't know, for lack of, in-depth technical terms, just the direct internet is coming directly to your home as opposed to being shared by multiple units and then going to yours, which may not make a lot of sense for you if you're not in that world, and that's okay, but it actually does help with your speed and bandwidth. So most of the neighborhoods are already set up to be able to use Google Fi or AT&T, some of these other bigger named fiber optic type settings where you can have a high MPS download, which again, maybe going over your head as far as like too many things, but just know like the download speed and the upload speed that is necessary to be able to support yourself at home. Now, if you're a big gamer and you need things like that, I have no idea what you would be required to use. So I'm just talking about your basic home office setup. So the other thing is that outside of the home, and this is really cool, if we're working from home, some of us want to be able to get outside. I mean, being able to have that interaction or even just getting fresh air is important. Now, I know, again, from personal experience, having worked from home, that sometimes just being able to get out, take my dog out to a coffee shop or to an area where I can just zone in and work and do stuff, it just feels nice and it's a different setting and it allows me to refresh and I feel better about spending hours working in front of a computer. The nice thing about Irvine is that you don't necessarily have to go to a coffee shop. So again, noise level can be a concern at times for certain things. We have a lot of shopping centers. So Irvine, Spectrum, Woodbury are just two that come off the top of my head that actually have Wi-Fi setups in the outdoor area. So you could be anywhere in those shopping centers and you can just set up your laptop, you can connect to the Wi-Fi, and they're strong enough to support video conferencing and conference calls as well. The nice thing about, in Irvine Spectrum in particular, you have almost like little booths. So they're set up where you have seats, and the way the seats are set up, it's meant to drive the noise or the sound directly to your laptop as opposed to picking up the sound from all around you. So that's pretty neat. And so you can go there, you can go for lunch, meet up with a group of friends that also work remote, and just kind of set up a little hub there and get to work and be productive. So not only is Irvine great from finding a new employer, but it's also great if you already have one and you just need to be set up in a space where you can work remotely. The names that I mentioned previously as well, many of them are offering on-site work. They're also offering remote options or a hybrid. So as we evolve, many of the companies located here in Irvine are also evolving and adapting to our new world. So hopefully you found this helpful. Again, if you have any questions, always feel free to reach out. Leave a comment below with your questions. I do respond to everyone. My contact info is also there, so you can reach out to me personally. The topics that I come up with are actually mostly driven by direct questions that I receive from you. So feel free to just go ahead and let me know what you want to learn about, what you would like to see, and I'll get that info out to you. All right, take care, guys. Bye.